Thanks, Todd. Good afternoon, and thanks for coming out. On behalf of the organization, we do appreciate what everybody does. The Blue Jackets are trying to grow. We appreciate the coverage. And certainly I'd be remiss if I didn't say that with what we've been through this season, that our fans were pretty darn good. They were stupendous, as a matter of fact. There's a lot of support from those folks, and we really do, as an organization, without question, appreciate it. I'd like to say that the season's been a disappointment. I've tried to find an analogy to use. Basically, it's been a kick in the teeth for us. But those things happen in life, and we understand that. And we've been going north for quite some time now, trying to have an understanding as to what's gone wrong. And I think all of us have a part of that without question. Our management staff, including me, and I'm on top, and I'm the one that feels the worst about this whole thing. Talking with our coaches a lot, talking with our players a lot. We've had exit meetings, et cetera, with everyone, and there's a lot of major disappointment. There's a lot of what could have been type of thing. We wasted an opportunity, and that's factual. A few weeks ago, we changed and started going with some younger players because we knew we had to, and that's something that was necessary, and some good things did happen there. But all in all, it's been a disappointment. Jarmo?
Yeah, to say the least. It was a disappointing year. I've always said that you learn the most about people when you go through adversity, and we lost our confidence when we got kicked in the teeth, like John said, and we couldn't recover from that, and we weren't strong enough to recover from that, and we have to take responsibility for that and move forward. We've obviously had a lot of time to analyze things, and we will keep analyzing things, and we have to make hard decisions. But I think we're going to be stronger because of the experience that we've gone through, and we have a lot of young players that have gotten a valuable lesson. A lot of veteran players who've gotten a valuable lesson this year, and we'll just have to use it to our advantage moving forward here. And I'm going to take a good look in the mirror. I've asked all the players to do that, and I've asked all the staff to do that, and we'll start the analysis from there, from the mirror, and go from there on, and we'll be stronger next year for sure.
This is for either one of you guys. Are these changes that you need to make in terms of being stronger, these personnel changes, are these personal changes from within? Do you wait it out and hope that these guys prove themselves differently, or do you feel the need to bring in new blood to change things quicker?
Well, I think we're going to look at every opportunity to get better. I'm not going to get into any individuals or decisions on an individual level, but we need to improve in a lot of different fronts. We let in too many goals. We took way too many penalties. We took stupid penalties, and too many of those. So we were undisciplined, and we were not smart. Those are the areas we got to improve on. We got to keep the puck out of the net. We got to defend better as a group. We know we need to get stronger at center position. I don't think the offense is our team's problem. I think we score a lot of goals 5-on-5. Our power play needs to get better. There are a lot of different areas that we need to get better on. I think that we're fully aware of them. And like I said, we've had a lot of time to analyze, and we're going to keep doing that. Our calendar's full from now on. Our season's far from over. We're going to the. I'm going to go scouting tomorrow, or a couple days from now, for the draft. Next week, going to the World Under-18 World Championships. World Championships in Russia, amateur meetings, pro meetings, Cleveland in the playoffs, scouting combine, draft. You name it. It's a full calendar. So we're going to do everything we can to find the solutions here and be better.
I think there's a lot of things that we knew we had to still get better at going into the season. We certainly know a lot more about that now. I think we've addressed some of it. We feel stronger about our back end with Seth Jones in particular. He's a young man. He's just starting his career. Zach Werenski, who we drafted last year in the first round, has had an outstanding beginning to his career in the American League. We'll see where that takes us. So we feel better about that. We know we have to get stronger down the middle, but that's part of building. We have some thoughts and ideas. We'll see how all that goes. We know that at times we're outworked, and that really bothers me, because when you're trying to become a good franchise in this league, when you get outworked, it's not right. And that's something that we have to talk a lot about. The ups and downs, there was some good things, there was some things that weren't very good. I think we're slowly getting better in our room, but we're not to where we need to be just yet, especially when you're going through some transition with younger players, and that's going to continue. We are a draft and development organization. I think if you look around the league at the very good teams, they've gone through that and done a nice job. The teams that are in transition trying to build, they're draft and development teams, and we are too. And we've seen some of that happen now with young players that are all of a sudden becoming pretty good players, but not there yet. But that's what we're into. Did we overpromise? I thought our team going into this season was a playoff team. I said publicly that I liked our team going into this season better than the season before. Some things were, a lot of things weren't. And the numbers bear that. What Jarmo talked about with goals against, specialty teams, discipline, that's obvious. We've got to work at that. We've got to get better if we're going to be a playoff team. I'm an optimist. I've always tried to be a positive person with everything I do, and I'm very positive about the future of this organization, this team. But you have to go through the process, which at times is painful. This is a step back, and I'm at the top, and I'm responsible for getting it back as a group, along with Jarmo and Bill Zito and our management group, to get this back on track to where it needs to be. It needs to be put back on track. We've worked hard at that, real hard at it throughout this season. We're working more with the players we've drafted to have them develop. We've added people in that area of our franchise. These people all over the world that we've drafted. So we have to have hands-on. You have to work with them, get them to where they need to be even quicker. We've done a lot of scouting for this upcoming draft. It's very important. Drafting is the lifeblood of our franchise. That's exactly what it is. This is huge for us coming up. So there's a lot of things that I'm optimistic about through the disappointment that we've gone through those last few months.
Not to put all this on one person, but if Sergei Bobrovsky had stayed healthy and had played as Sergei Bobrovsky did in, say, 12-13, are you even having these conversations right now?
I'm not going to put it on, as an ex-goaltender, an old goaltender, I'm not going to throw it at one guy's feet. Bob wasn't as good as he could have been through the injuries. When Bob was healthy, he was pretty good there for that one stretch. In fact, he's a sensational goalie. Just a small snapshot, the third period against Chicago the other night. the kill at the end, we saw Bob at his best. That was spectacular. I expect him to rebound. He's a very professional individual. He's a very business-like, hard-working man. And if there was ever a slip in his play, which he feels that he's going to overcome, I think he's the right person for that. He's our number one goaltender, and I know how good he can be. I just do. Giving up goals isn't always on the goaltender. Our team defensive play was sloppy. Our penalties that we took put a lot of pressure on this club throughout the season. Bad penalties at the wrong times really hurt us, and that's as blunt as I can make it. And if we don't clean that up, we'll have problems next year with it too. So we've got to clean it up.
For both of you guys, both of you mentioned mental toughness. Some of the players earlier today were acknowledging at the start of the year, some of them even used the word fragile at the beginning of the year with their confidence. Obviously, they started with a lot of expectations and didn't handle that well at the start. How surprised were you that they weren't mentally tougher than that? And then did you see some improvement in that aspect of it through the season? And what gives you the thought that this group of guys can be as mentally tough as necessary to succeed in this league?
Well, we saw a lot of guys overcome the adversity. Maybe we didn't as a group, and that's why we're sitting here right now. But confidence is everything in sports. These guys know what to do with their eyes closed on the ice. It's all on instinct level. When they're playing with the confidence that got them onto this level and how good they are, everything is automatic. And when you start squeezing the stick and you lose your confidence like we did in that bad stretch in the beginning, you can just tell that everything is difficult. And a lot of guys, experienced guys, struggle through that in that stretch of time. Some of them recovered, some of them had bad years overall, but there are some good examples of guys who recovered from that and ended up having a pretty good year. Like Ryan Murray is one of the guys that I would mention that struggled in that early stretch there, but overall had a pretty good year this year, and grew a lot this year as a person, as a young man, and as a player.
What the one thing about, again, with Optimism involved is, and I kind of don't like it, that you get the phone calls to have players go play in the World Championships, because that means you're not in the playoffs or you're out early. But at the same time, when I look at our situation this year, to see that there's been probably throughout the organization somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 players that have been asked to go play for respective countries in the Worlds. And I look at it as, geez, I hope you go. If you don't, have a good reason. But they're big games. You're playing pressure games. We need our people to play pressure games and learn more about what you're talking about with the fragility of a group that was shown early in the season. That was shocking to me in a lot of ways. Expectations, a lot of people have said, boy, you didn't handle expectations. Well, I'm a thinker that expectations are wonderful. If you have expectations, that means people think that you have a chance to do something with your team, which is outstanding. And the other thing I've said to players here is you only play for a certain amount of years. Some people may play 4 years, or a person like Al McInnes in St. Louis played 22 years. Gretzky, many, many years. But when you look at that in context of trying to play for a championship, there's not many years. And when you waste a year like we did this season, in my opinion, that's a year of your career that's gone where you don't have a chance to play for the prize. When I look back at, and I try to use thoughts and analogies with even my own career, and it wasn't an all-star career, but I played in a lot of playoff games for the amount of time that I played. I loved them. And I remember the playoff series and the playoff games. I don't remember much about the regular season in my career. It's a long time ago. I understand that. But the playoffs are what you live for in this game. Playoffs are where you can, people can talk about you later. You scored the big goal. You did this. You led a team. You did that. That's what this game's about. And we've taken a year, a season, where, and it's not just me saying this, a lot of the players saying this, that it's really disappointing that we let this opportunity go. I think a lot of players today even feel that we had a team that should have been better than what we showed. The reality is we didn't, and we've got to fix it.
For either one of you, I'm curious. Last year at this time, as you said, you were very optimistic.
Yeah.
They were, coming off 15-1-1 and all of that, and we're talking about not only going to the playoffs, but maybe winning the division and all that stuff.
Oh, well, we didn't say that.
But I mean, a lot of people were, and there was like a lot of
Yeah.
there was a lot of optimism
Absolutely.
about the team was better
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. I'm just wondering, do you think did you misjudge your personnel at all, and do you feel like
Well-
how do you feel about the personnel now? Is the personnel the right personnel
Yeah.
here for what you think this is going to be?
External expectations, I think, were a lot higher than what we had inside. We expected to make the playoffs, and I still think that we had the team to do that. That was realistic expectations. We fell short of it, and that's a fact, and we take responsibility for that. But we have a lot of good young players here, a lot of guys that'll improve. We had winning seasons before this. It wasn't just the 15 games at the end or 17 games at the end. We had a winning season last year and the year before, and the year before in the shortened season. So I think it was realistic to expect that we're going to improve. But like I said, the external expectations were a lot higher than what we internally talked about.
Do you think? I mean, do you think the current team the way it is? I mean, you think it needs much work as far as personnel, or do you think the personnel is
I
in
think
place?
we'll have a lot of internal meetings to address that exact question. It's hard for me to sit here right now and say, this guy's got to go, this guy's got to stay, we got to trade for that guy. There's so many things that can happen, including the draft, where we're going to draft, the position regarding the draft. There's a lot of different things that fall into place there. We do know that we need help in certain areas. We do know that, it was interesting that 15-1-1 last year, there was no pressure on our team. It was basically the first time we were healthy all year. The one thing I would say is that what I liked about it is a lot of those other teams we played needed the wins because they were in playoff races, and we beat them. But we beat them without pressure on our team. I get that. I understand that. Then we started this season with an outstanding game with the Rangers, folded in the last couple of minutes and never recovered. It's astonishing. It really is. And that's something we have to figure out how and why and how do we get over that hump. We're still going to evolve as a franchise. When you're building the team, and I've said it 100 times, the one brick at a time, et cetera, we're going to continue with that. We're not going to run out and sign an older player for a long-term contract. There was some defensemen last year we probably could have, but that was going to hurt us long-term. So then what was the sense of doing it? Just wasting where we're trying to get to. And we're not going to deviate from that. We're going to have the same game plan we've always had. We're going to draft and develop, hopefully get better as a team that knows how to compete the proper way. And when we get that into place, hopefully it's a good team for a long period of time. Now that, I understand talk is cheap, I get that. And a lot of other teams are trying to do the exact same thing. I get that, because we're in competition with 29 others. But you know what, I'm confident in our group. Jarmo, Bill Zito, and the others, our coaching staff. John Tortorella did a good job for us. There's a lot of players that have said very good things about how the accountability, the honesty was good. And so we're going to continue with that plan we had originally. I'll be the first to admit maybe we got ahead of ourselves a little bit. But in doing that, I don't think we've hurt the overall game plan that we had in place of trying to build it through draft and development. I hope that makes sense.
The one thing that I'd like to add is that we're not always going to be able to expose our weaknesses or evaluate our weaknesses in this forum here. We're fully aware of what our weaknesses are on, and on an individual level would never get into it here. But we will get to the bottom of it, and we'll make necessary changes, and we'll move forward.
Well, the more you talk, the more you answer my questions. But you talked about being stronger in the center. Does that come from within, or are you going to have to go outside and fill that spot?
I think as a group, and Jarmo's a general manager, but we examine every area. We'll examine Europe, we'll examine the draft, we'll examine trades, we'll examine free agency, every aspect of it. If it's a right situation, we'll try to do what we have to do. I will say that it was interesting today and yesterday meeting the players one-on-one, or the three of us with the player in our exit meetings. And I was astonished at how I sat there for a couple of years, maybe 3 years, with the same player, and to see how much they've matured physically and just the way they talk, the way they carry themselves, it was interesting. Alexander Wenberg was one of those. Ryan Murray was one of those. It was astonishing to me, but it was really gratifying and good to see that these people are coming along. Wenberg's a player that at one point in the first 15, 16 games that ended up with 40. So he got better. He's bigger. He's stronger. He's very mature. Ryan Murray's another player that, to hear him talk, it was a different person. So the maturity of all that has to happen. You have to go through that.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the process, obviously, with a young group like that. And I think that the biggest growth will, again, come from inside. And that's what draft and developing is all about. Once the young players take over the core and the nucleus of the team and grab the real leadership roles, that's when you can achieve something big. And I think that those guys are very close to doing that with the support and leadership of the veterans that we have. So I believe in the group of guys that we have here. We're going to make necessary changes if in the areas needed, and keep developing, keep drafting well, and look at every opportunity from the other alternatives like the free agency and through trades as well.
Jarmo, this is probably for you. Possibility of an expansion draft next year, 2017. You've seen some of the possible guidelines. Do you have to plan for that now? How does that change things in terms of drafting or contracts for guys this year?
We'll start planning more when we know that there will be an expansion, if there will be an expansion, and when we know what the rules are for the potential expansion draft. I think spending a lot of time on it right now would be a waste of time. We obviously have acknowledged that that might be coming up, and there's certain decisions that we wanted to make sure that we don't, get into any danger of risking, like Werenski, for example. If we would have signed him to an NHL contract now and he would have played in the NHL, who knows if the rules are a certain way, that might have counted for a year pro, and he would have been exposed. We didn't want to take that chance, so therefore that's one of the reasons why he's in an American League tryout, playing in the American League playoffs, which is developmentally the best thing for him anyways. So Josh Flynn, it's in good hands with us. He's going to look at all the possibilities for the rules, and once the rules are in place, if there's an expansion, then he's going to have everything ironed up, and as far as what we need to look at, and we'll have our strategy ready as soon as we know that there will be an expansion if there's one.
The other quick one on Zach, and I'm sure you know, if he had played one game here, he would not have been allowed to play in the playoffs in Cleveland, where that team's a pretty good hockey club with a lot of our young players. So we're hoping that, you never know where it goes, but hopefully they have a good run. The other thing is I go to the Board of Governor meetings, and we've been told that regarding the expansion, they will let us know everything in June at the meeting there. There's a lot of talk about Vegas and Quebec, primarily Vegas. They will let us know the rules and everything such as in June. Beforehand, as Jarmo just said, we think about it all the time in case of.
What ways did you see the team improve once John Tortorella took over, and in what ways was he able to imprint his identity without even the benefit of a training camp?
Well, we talked about accountability here. His style of coaching is high demand, high accountability every day, not just in games but in practices, which results in high tempo, intense practices, the way we practice, the way we play, and I think we improved in that area. And this is not to take anything away from Todd Richards' era. He's a good coach, but that's. Players know what to expect with John Tortorella, that's for sure, and it's not black. It's not gray. It's black and white. They know for sure exactly what's expected of them, and we like that style. That's one of the reasons why we hired him. We know that's what he brings, and it's been a recipe for winning in his career in the American League level and in the NHL. So he's a proven winner, and he's just getting started here.
You like where you're at in terms of forwards, maybe not so much center, but in terms of forwards. How deep does this team go in terms of how many lines it can roll effectively, do you feel like?
Well, in this league, I think that every good team nowadays is a four-line balanced team where even the fourth line has to be able to play anywhere from 8 to 12 minutes, and a lot of the penalty killers come from the fourth line in order for them to get on the ice more. I think that you can overload your best players because the game's just too fast. It's too consuming if you do that. And so I think the right balance and the right amount of skill, so you get puck possession even from the bottom lines, and you get some secondary scoring from those lines is a key to success.
I think next season, with the World Cup happening, the mandatory week off later in the season, that the schedule will be a little more condensed. Therefore, you need more players. You need four lines for sure.
And last question from me. Just how far away do you guys feel like you are from where you want to be as an organization right now?
That's a difficult question. It's a good question. I think that we should be a team to compete for playoffs for sure, even though you'll see some younger people here. It's trying to get young people ripe is an important thing But if we find a way to have our goaltending be strong, our defensemen play, and we should be deeper in that position, and take care of our discipline in particular. And when I say discipline, it's penalties. It's also working to keep the puck out of the net as a team. Then we should be a team that competes. Now, how far away from winning a championship? It's very difficult to answer. I don't want to sit here and put deadlines on things. In St. Louis, through my experience, it took a number of years before, and that team hasn't won, but it's a very good hockey club, and it's been a number of years. It took us a long time to get that going there. That's a long time ago for me now, but I still try to get back into that reservoir to lean on experience.
Jarmo, hindsight is easy, obviously, but in retrospect, do you think you miscalculated where you guys were defensively at the start of this season, and in retrospect, perhaps wish you had shored that up more in the offseason before the start of the year? So you had to make a trade for Seth Jones, and you feel good about that, but that has you now chasing a center also.
Well, I said at the time when we made the trade that we'd been looking for a defenseman for a long time, and I'm never going to sit here before the season starts and expose our weaknesses to the rest of the world. I'm always going to say that I believe in our team, and internally we do our analysis, and we were looking for the man for a long time. We just didn't feel that what was available from the free agency, for example, was suitable for us because of the length of the contracts, the cost of the contracts, and the age of the players. And through trade, I learned I probably miscalculated that the most. Trying to acquire a defenseman through a trade was a lot harder than I thought. We had talked about many different options, and there just wasn't anybody available that we liked enough until we were willing to part ways with a guy like Ryan Johansson.
The other thing there is, if you study our draft, we've drafted a lot of defensemen, and they're probably people that have either read their names but they wouldn't know who they are. People playing in Europe, people playing all over. Zach would be one of them, but there's a pretty good pool of defensemen who have a chance along the way here, not now, along the way, to be very good players for us. So we feel strong. That was a real solid weakness for us throughout the franchise. And it's something that we've spent a lot of time rebuilding, and we feel pretty strong about it. We'll see where these kids go, but a lot of them are playing for national teams as 18, 19-year-olds. So we do feel good. We know that we have to work on other areas, and like I said earlier, there's trades, there's free agents, there's Europe, there's all kinds of different areas that we're going to study and go through thoroughly. But when we tried to improve the defense last season, talking to various teams, people wanted our firstborn. That's just not going to happen. We're not going to deviate that for a short-term fix. It's not going to happen under my watch. We will make things happen if we can for long-term results.
Putting together teams is such an inexact science, the whole culture and all of those things. How close is this team to working, to fitting? Do you still feel like you need to change the mix a little bit for things to work in a really healthy way? Is that a waiting game as well, or is there something you can do to help that?
Well, that chemistry, it's a big word, I guess, and a lot of times people ask, what exactly does it mean? To me, it means that trust and respect. The guys in the room, that they trust each other, that they get the job done in the roles that they're in, whether it's a big role or a smaller role, that you know that you can trust the guy next to you, that he's going to do his job. And therefore you're going to be able to do yours and get a good future because of it. And it's respect for each role that the guys have on the team, whether it's a bigger role or a smaller role. And that, to me, is chemistry. And I think that we have a lot of that in our room. We have a lot of trust from person to person, player to player, that we have the right players in place. They trust each other, and there's a lot of respect there, too, for each other. So that's a very strong starting point. I think that you can always add to it. You can get deeper through success. That's when you build those relationships that last forever in life. When you win something together, that's how character. That's how trust, that's how respect is built into the deepest level that you can possibly get. And that's what the greatest thing about pro sports and team sports, in my opinion, that you can build those kind of relationships. When you win together, your friendships and relationships last forever, the rest of your life. Are we there yet? No. Can we get stronger? Absolutely, and we will get stronger. And I say it again, that I think that once those younger guys that are becoming a big part of the team, like Boone Jenner, Ryan Murray, Seth Jones, those guys grab a hold of the team and take that leadership role and responsibility on their shoulders with the help and guidance of our existing leadership. That's when we're going to start doing big things.
Cam Atkinson's name in
Cam
there too.
Atkinson's, absolutely.
This young man's evolving, and that's what I was talking about earlier. I think it's better than what it was. It's always an evolving process, and it's about when you don't win and you want to win, it's about the transition that you go through as an organization to get there. And some of our younger players are getting to the point where they should be very comfortable speaking their piece and knowing that they can go on the ice and follow it up. It's a good thing to have, and that process is evolving, but I think getting better.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.